Welcome back to the Community Convener, the official podcast of the Henry County Chamber of Commerce, proudly powered by Georgia Power. I'm Joseph Henning, your Chamber President, CEO, and the host for today's deep dive into the heartbeat of our county. We've got a packed house and some heavy hitters joining us. On today's show, we're talking economic mobility. I'm sitting down with Milton Little Jr., President and CEO of the United Way of Greater Atlanta, to discuss what moving the needle on prosperity really means for our region's future. In our initiative highlight, the Chamber's own Trinity Archer chats with our local Flex winner, Lola Symone Stanley. We'll hear about her entrepreneurial journey as she gears up to represent Henry County at the state Flex competition this month. Curious about where those SPLOST dollars are going? Jonathon Penn from Henry County Parks and Rec stops by with an update on the highly anticipated new Aquatic Center. And we're wrapping up with a member minute featuring one of our volunteers of the year, Cornelius Gamble. It's all about growth, grit, and great people. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive in. Well, welcome back to this episode's Catalytic Conversation, and I am excited and honored to have today's guest with us. Milton Little is President and CEO for the United Way of Greater Atlanta. Milton, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's my pleasure. I've been working with Jennifer and Anissa and a few others on a great series that we're launching, but I know you've got some information in that I think would help set the stage for those that why we're doing what we're doing. So could you give me just a little overview of Metro Atlanta and the economic mobility effort?
Well, thank you. Thanks for that. Atlanta, I think everybody can see it. And lots of people are experiencing the tremendous growth that we're seeing.
Absolutely.
Economic growth, population growth. The state continues to be a great place to do business. Metro Atlanta continues to be a magnet for businesses from across the U.S. and around the world, frankly. And so, by all of those measures and all those indicators, economic opportunity and growth just seems to be coming in tremendous numbers.
Absolutely.
You look below that, though, at what we like to think of as economic mobility, the opportunity that a person has to, as an adult, earn more than their parents did.
Absolutely. Okay.
You see that Atlanta ranks 50th among the top 50 cities and metro areas in the United States for
Okay.
economic mobility, meaning that if you're a poor child born in metro Atlanta, you only got about a 4.5% chance of escaping poverty and joining the middle class by adulthood. And so
Wow.
we see that economic opportunity is not spread as widely as some of those top line numbers about job growth would suggest.
So this is a regional
Yes.
impact. It's not just Atlanta or Henry, or this is regional within the 11 or 16 counties within ARC?
Yeah. So we count 13 counties.
13. Okay.
And so within our 13 county indication, that's what we're looking at.
So, Milton, what are some of the barriers to this? What are some of the barriers that these children face?
Well, so some of them are, kind of obvious, but I'll start off by saying where you live matters a lot.
Absolutely.
There
The zip
is
code
an
challenge.
there is almost an inextricable link between geography and mobility on both ends. If you're an upper middle class, upper class family, where you live matters a lot to how your children are going to fare.
Absolutely.
By the same token, if you are a family that's struggling, where you live says a lot about the opportunities that your child can experience and what that means in terms of their future growth. So, location matters a lot. Quality of education matters a lot.
Hmm.
Are you living in a community that experiences a lot of poverty? That matters a lot. And one of the things that you and I, and probably many of your listeners may take for granted, that's what's called social capital or social connections. The people you and I know that we can have our children contact if
Yeah.
they want a job,
Yeah.
if they want to know what it's like to be in a profession. Those connections matter a lot.
That's
And
why
you
it's
and
so
I,
important that we participate in those career days and that at schools, because they're, you know,
absolutely.
I think back to, in the past when I've talked to students and they want to be a doctor or a nurse because they want to go into
Sure.
healthcare, and they have no idea that there's so many other professions, so many other
Right.
careers available to them. And so that's why that exploration and identification is so key.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's helping to see what the possibilities are, building a relationship with somebody who can make a phone call for you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it adds new evidence to that old phrase that you and I are very familiar with. It's not always what you know, as a lot of times it's who you know.
It's who you know, who's in the room with you.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, can we break down a little bit of this for Henry County
Sure.
specifically? And tell me a little bit about that population within Henry County. And I know you work with, I believe it's the Alice data and that. So can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about Alice and then what
Yes.
we know about Henry County through that?
Sure. So ALICE is an acronym. It
Okay.
stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed.
Okay.
Those are people that we during the pandemic called essential workers. These are
Absolutely.
people who have jobs but are not making enough to make ends meet.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so they are the people that we depend on to make our lives better and to provide the quality of life that we have. So they're childcare workers, they may be restaurant workers, they may be maintenance people who take care of, buildings that where we work or our lawns.
Hmm.
There are people who cut our hair. There are people, all of those service industry folks, many of whom are struggling across the region. And there in Henry County, we see somewhere around 30% of working people really falling into that Alice category.
Okay.
So they and Alice, they quantify it very specifically. These are folks that can't afford this combination: a safe place to live, a reliable car, a health insurance, childcare, a dependable and reliable cell phone plan that takes care of data and calls. Stuff
Okay.
that you and I don't even worry about.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but there are as folks in my neighborhood used to say growing up, there are people who have more month than money, and that's the situation they find themselves.
Understood. I think in looking at those groups, there's an interesting piece, and this is what I believe ties this to the economic mobility that we're addressing.
Mhm.
And in Henry, 8 out of 10 Alice households are single family head, or 8 out of 10 of the female headed households
Yes.
are within that,
Correct.
and 64% of single male headed with
Mhm.
children. So we're not just talking about a teacher or a restaurant worker or someone at the grocery store. We're talking about a parent that then also has a child that they're worried
Right.
about because that child might not be getting the food and nutrition it needs. It might not be getting the technology to do homework and get ahead. And so this is one of those that it's a cycle to break. It's definitely one of those cycles that we want to break.
Yes,
Yeah.
certainly. United Way has focused on child well-being for more than a decade. And so we
Mhm.
look at down to census tracts how children are faring across a variety of indicators. We know how many kids are living in a census tract, how many kids are living in that census tract in a household that has health insurance, that have exposure to early literacy. We know what the graduation rates are, all of those things that make up the experiences that children and families have that put their children either on the path to economic mobility or constrain that path in very significant kind of ways.
Well, and I think the other thing that we heard a lot about even before COVID, but COVID kind of blew it open, is that the ones that age out of the family's insurance, it's
Yes.
roughly 25, 26 years old, graduated from college, have that
Right.
debt,
Right.
but can't afford to live on their own, can't afford a house.
Mhm.
And that's a rather stark number here in Henry County as well. I believe it's 6 and 10 of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that helps to take this from a conversation about poverty. It anchors it in the experiences of a lot of people. There are
Hmm.
many of us who know college graduates that have a good job, but they're not making enough to be able to live on their own. They're having to double and triple up with roommates in order to make it work. And
Yeah.
so I want to make sure folks don't think of this as simply a conversation about extreme poor people. This is young professionals who are starting out and just with the price of housing in the
Hmm.
region find themselves struggling pretty significantly.
Well, and yes, I agree. This is not to be a conversation on poverty, but as we look at economic mobility and the ability to move forward and get above that social ladder that you were on, when we look at single parent households
Mhm.
being the big majority of our Alice threshold, and then you look at this 25 to 44 as a huge number there, the second largest group. It's one of those that at some point we've got to figure out what that piece is that kind of breaks that cycle again.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think
So
we also have to think about it in terms of economic development strategies too.
agreed.
Because when you've got families like we're talking about now who have those struggles, the amount of lost productivity that comes because that parent's got to worry about where their child is, and I got to get off work in order to pick them up from childcare or get fined, docked. They ransom off your kid if you don't.
Yeah.
If and all of us have experienced that sprint to the door. But it's also in terms of what do you do in the summertime? What do you do when your child's not at school, and how do you manage all of those things? So I think for your audience that has business leaders as well as civic leaders thinking about this not exclusively as a human service challenge, but as an economic development conversation we need to be
Absolutely.
having. Are we creating the conditions with work that allow people to make pay all their bills, but also, be there in a robust kind of way at the
Have a quality
workplace?
of life.
Absolutely,
Right,
absolutely.
right.
All these things ought not to be in a zero-sum game
No.
sort of equation. We ought to be able to do all and then more.
Why couple more questions, but
Mhm.
one in particular. Why is cross-sector partnership working with the chamber, with, Piedmont Henry, with, all of your partners, in education and that, why is that so critical to solving this challenge?
Because there's no one sector of society that can fix it. It is not the cause of one sector's failings. It's the combination of how systems work, how housing, job opportunity, job creation, childcare, educational systems, all of those things work together to create an environment in which children and families have the
Yeah.
opportunity to prosper.
Absolutely. Thank you, thank you. What, in order to make this shift, what is a policy or a practice or even a mindset? What's a mindset shift that we could make that would be the biggest difference for Metro Atlanta families, but also for Henry County families?
One big mindset shift is to think about mobility as not beginning when somebody gets into the workplace, but think about mobility beginning in childhood.
Absolutely.
And
Literacy is key.
exactly. And so if you think about it in those terms, that gives you a different way to look at literacy and early learning. It gives you a different way to think about K through 12 experiences for children and the role that apprenticeships and career exploration all play in helping people build skills and an understanding and familiarity with the workplace. And so that'd be probably the biggest shift is to think about what are the pieces that we need to put in place for children to be solidly on the path to economic productivity and a competitiveness that brings value to all of Greater Atlanta and
Well,
Henry County specifically.
yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm hoping that four-part program that we're working on together, I'm hoping that we see some significant change with that by the end of the year. And I
Great.
know we're gonna have you back, next month. We're gonna discuss a little bit more in particular about some of the sections that we'll be diving into. But for the listeners out there who wanna learn more or get involved,
Sure.
where can they go to connect with United Way of Greater Atlanta?
Easiest way is to go to our website, www.unitedwayatlanta, all one word,
Okay.
.org.
Okay.
That'll tell you a lot about what we're doing and even offer you an invitation to get involved.
All right. I appreciate that. So unitedwayatlanta.org. And Milton, thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to talking with you next month.
I'll see you soon.
All
Thank you
right.
again.
We'll be right back. This episode's Elite Member Highlight features Bennett International Group. Bennett's commitment to a culture of safety and emphasis on family is unparalleled. Their specialized, innovative, and integrated solutions make them a proven leader in transportation, distribution, global logistics, and supply chain industry. From their humble beginnings as a small family-owned business to their exponential growth into a family of companies, their core values have never wavered. As Atlanta's #1 woman-owned business, We Care is a model that begins with CEO Marcy Taylor and drives every employee, owner-operator, contractor, and agent within Bennett to provide outstanding customer service. We thank Bennett International Group for their elite membership.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's initiative highlight. And no, I am not Joe. I am Trinity Archer, Communications Coordinator, Podcast Producer, and Flex Program Coordinator. And today, I decided to step to the other side of the mic to interview someone very special. I'm joined by our first place Flex winner, Lola Symone Stanley, owner of Doe Beauty. Lola, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm super duper excited.
Of course, congratulations again on your win.
Thank you.
How are you feeling coming off of the Flex Finals? Has it hit you yet that you're going to state?
Yes, it hit me right away. Like, I think at first it was just like super duper like adrenaline. You see this check, you see everyone congratulating you. And then when they call the second place, you're like, oh my gosh, like they're about to call my name. But it really hit like the next day. And when I just sat there, my mom was like, you really won. And I'm just in my bedroom staring at it. I'm like, Doe Beauty. So yes, it hit me and I'm super duper excited for state. I'm like thrilled. I've already looked at some old videos from other people and I'm just like, oh, this looks absolutely amazing.
Yes, and I've heard a lot of people have congratulated you so far. The word's
Yes.
gotten out around town.
Yes. I was like, it's crazy because I was going on the website and I kept checking the newspaper. I was like, where am I? Where am I? Where am I? And I come to school the next day and everyone's like, congratulations, congratulations. And then I was like, wait a minute. I know what they're saying congratulations about. I'm like, thank you.
Well, everybody now knows that you won this competition. And for those who aren't listening, Lola won our entrepreneurship competition for high school students. So, since you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, give us your pitch.
All right. Are you looking for a skincare brand that caters to all skin types, tones, and hair textures? Well, look no further than Doe Beauty. Botanical blends backed by science, for the culture, by the culture, clean, conscious, and cruelty-free. Now meet me, the CEO, founder, and creative director, which is me, Lola Symone Stanley. I have a passion for revolutionizing the beauty industry and a relentless drive to make a difference. Our goal is to become a first beauty brand that grows with you and turns into lifelong habits. Now, me being a Gen Alpha myself, I recognize that my peers were looking for more than just a beauty brand. They were looking for a culture shift and a movement. With this insight, I embarked on a journey to create a beauty brand that did not only cater to the unique needs of my generation, but also empowered them to embrace the individuality that both empowered and celebrate themselves.
Well, that was perfect.
Thank
That's
you.
fantastic. I think our listeners can see how you've made it this far. I wanted to ask, and I think you kind of brought this up in your pitch, but what inspired you to start this business?
What inspired me to start this business was honestly my friends and my family. My family has very sensitive skin alongside with me, but they kept saying, well, all these beauty brands, everyone's just following them because of the person who started it, but there's no deeper meaning to it. So I was like, can I create a beauty brand that's premium, luxury, multi-generational, but at an affordable price so that it gives me room to grow as the marketplace changes, while still sticking to the initial brand, supporting the community culture and about sustainability. As though beauty is not about perfection, we're all about real life, no unrealistic standards, no filters. So with that in mind, I was like, let me create a brand that caters to all that and amplifies all of that.
I love that. As someone who does not see themselves as perfect, I appreciate a brand that highlights those things that don't make us perfect.
Thank you.
Love that. Was there a moment in this journey, whether it was, I believe you had your business before this program,
Right.
through your journey before the program or through the program, was there a moment where it clicked for you like this is going to go somewhere? Or did you just know from the beginning?
It clicked when my mom actually was invested in it because I actually wanted to do beauty since 3rd grade, but my mom was like, "Yeah, you're joking." And so I remember 9th grade, I was ready. I was like, "I really want to start it, but I know I have to pitch to my mother." And at the moment, my mom was like, "Whoa, you have something going for yourself." And at that moment, I was like, finally, if I can get her this VP of marketing of every freaking beauty industry ever, then okay, that's like we have something going on here, something good. And it's good to know that other people understand like what the whole point of this brand is.
Well, that's fantastic. And having met your mom, I think I've said it earlier today, she is your biggest fan.
Yes,
She raves about you
absolutely.
everywhere, and it's so wonderful to see.
I love her so much.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about the Flex experience. You've been through workshops, mentoring, multiple rounds of the competition. What's one thing you learned through Flex that surprised you?
I would say that it really teaches you that once you know your product, no matter what script you have, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, you can have a script, but if you're not passionate about it, then the other people won't get it, and it'll just sound like an essay to another person. So Flex has taught me confidence. Flex has taught me stay driven. Flex has taught me when you get knocked down, you got to get back up. Flex has made me step out my comfort zone, and Flex has also taught me how to network. As with America's Mart, I emailed Maria Knight recently, like 2 days ago, and she emailed me back and she was like, "I would love to have you back and congratulations." So yes, Flex has taught me a lot.
See, I love that you're using all of those connections, even through offerings through our local program and the field trip through the state program. That is so wonderful here. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to through this program.
Thank you.
So I know a lot of this competition is about learning everything on the business side.
Right.
And watching you progress, I've gotten to see that improve as well. I've loved to watch all of y'all grow, all 10 of the student businesses. It's been fantastic. But I wanted to ask more about relationships across schools. Have you been able to connect with any other students that are in this program with you as well, whether that's in our community or outside, since you did have that opportunity to go to that field trip to the Capitol and America's Mart with other students from across the
Right.
state?
I've connected with a lot of Creekside Christian Academy students. I've connected with just a lot of kids who even were in this program who saw me and were like, "Oh my God," and DM me was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to do this program next year. We need to catch up," or anything like that. I've connected, especially during the state field trip, a lot of people, part of Bibb County, I connected a lot with them and I still text them to this day. So it just expands your connection, and it forces you to think outside the box and to just step out your comfort zone, even when it comes to like the group of people that you hang around with, which I think is absolutely amazing.
All right. So, again, we mentioned you're going to state.
Yes.
Super exciting. Lola will be representing Henry County at the Georgia Flex State Competition in Tifton, Georgia on April 15th.
Yes.
But besides that, what's next for you? Where do you see Doe Beauty going over this next year?
I see Doe Beauty going into retail. With this 5K, as I mentioned in my presentation, I plan on like expanding my current product so that it meets demand and avoids going out of stock, alongside with migrating my website to Shopify and investing in like PR, social media. Besides that, for the next round, when you have Sephora, Ulta, Target, and they start making entries of new products, that is like the ultimate goal. I've started selling at school again. I started just even with Flex, I had people ordering online and even texting me online. It's like, "I can't wait to pre-order. Come on, back in stock now." So that's where I see Doe. I just see Doe continue to expanding into 3 SKUs, whether that's like a body cream and a shampoo and a conditioner. And I just see Doe not expanding too much. Like eventually I think there's a point where I just want to stop and we just have all these SKUs and stuff. But that's where I see Doe in retail, hopefully Ulta, Target, and just continue to make an impact. And then the funds that I continue to get for my business and stuff, investing and pouring that back into my community for the next generation and for the next round of Flex people and just beyond.
I love that. So what I'm hearing is you want to have a controlled growth.
Right.
Because obviously you don't want to overwhelm yourself. But you want to grow not just your products, but your reach.
Right.
And I love that.
Thank
And that
you.
community aspect is so, so important. To help with that growth and with your community, you always want to give back in some kind of way.
Exactly. I feel like Henry County pours into me, so it just makes us, without a doubt, it's time for me to pour back into Henry County.
I love that so much. All right. For students who might be listening and thinking about joining Flex next year or just interested in being an entrepreneur, what would you tell them?
Just do it, honestly. Don't overthink it. because when I submitted my deck, I did not overthink. I was like, okay, it's flex. We submit it. Just do it, because if you don't, you're going to keep wondering why you never did. And me submitting in a pitch and was like, okay, if I hear back, good. If I don't, I'll try again. And now I'm the winner. It just shows that sometimes the unexpected is like the expected for other people, and people are like, come on. So just do it, honestly. That's my advice, because I feel like if you don't have that just do it aspect, then it blocks all like the confidence and all of that. But if you do it without thinking about it, you eventually, obviously, like you'll build care, and you're like, wow, I didn't know I was this passionate about it. So yeah.
I love that. I think another quote that I've heard lately is do it scared. And I think that's really powerful too,
Right.
because you're right. If you never do it, if you let those fears hold you back, you'll never know, and you will always wonder.
Right.
So that's amazing. Very wise. Very, very wise.
Thank you.
Well, Lola, we are so proud of you and everything that you've accomplished. It's been incredible watching this journey from start to finish. And I hope to have you back next year as a guiding hand for our
Absolutely.
future Flex participants. I'm super excited about that. If any of our listeners were interested in buying your product or finding your business, how would they do that?
You can go to the website, doughbeauty.com. You can go to Instagram, and you can also go to TikTok.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and share your story. Again, for anybody interested in seeing Doe Beauty in action, Lola will be in Tifton, Georgia on April 15th, representing Henry County. Thank you all so much, and we will be right back.
Hey guys, Morel McClear here with Ramtech PC Solutions. We provide IT solutions for businesses that need our services. We focus on IT help desk, cybersecurity, and IT compliance. If you guys ever need assistance or ever have a wonder of if I'm doing my IT right, is my IT guy doing what he's supposed to do, give us a call. Let us help you with that.
Well, welcome back. This episode's SPLOST update features Jonathon Penn, JP from Henry County. And JP, what's your title?
I am the Executive Director for Leisure and Public Services.
Wonderful. Well, then I guess we're going to talk about some fun stuff then. Some
Yes,
Parks and Rec.
exactly.
All right.
They call me the fun guy.
Okay. All right. Well, give us an update if you would. I know we had Sherry on a couple of episodes ago, and we talked a little bit about the Aquatic Center, and she promised me that it would be open this summer. What's the update?
So she is correct. We are looking to open this summer. This is going to be a jewel here in Henry County. If you want, I can tell you a little bit about what we have there, all the exciting things that the county will be enjoying this summer.
Okay. Before we get into that, what's the current status? What you guys working on over there now?
So right now, they are putting the plaster ceiling into the pool areas.
Okay.
And then once they do that, they're actually going to fill all the pools.
Wow, that's exciting. That's exciting. And I know it's been a while since I've been by there because the other construction going on in that area. But are there other larger pieces done, or is this the pool fill and is that like towards the end of the major pieces?
Yeah, we have a lot of the 4 big slides out there that are already up. You can see them from
Wow.
the road. You can see them. People always say, "I see the big slides out there." That's from
Can I come in?
right. So you can definitely see those big slides out there. The indoor area of the Olympic-sized pool is definitely just ready to be filled.
Okay.
And the warming pool / recreational pool inside as well. So I mean, we're definitely getting very close to the end of just buttoning up some items and then going through a punch list.
Okay. So any estimate for we said summer, but is there any specific, do you guys have a date yet that you're shooting for?
End of May, beginning of June.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Hopefully right around that Memorial Day time.
Super. Perfect way to celebrate.
Yes.
You had mentioned the pools in that. Tell me a little bit more, if you would, about the Olympic-sized swimming pool and some of the other pools that are inside and around.
Yeah, so inside we have a 50-meter Olympic-sized competitive pool. That pool will be able to accommodate major meets, large meets, statewide meets there. A lot of the schools will be utilizing that space for their practices as well as any meets that they may have. Previously, Henry County schools were going to Clayton County for all of that. and now we can stay right here at home, host a lot of those meets, the school meet, the district meets. We're looking for some statewide meets, so we're very excited about that. We also have a 25-meter warming pool slash recreational pool in there where we'll do a lot of our programming and classes, therapeutics, recreation, water aerobics, stuff like that in that 25-meter pool.
So tell me a little bit, if you can, JP. I know we, the listeners in that are going to know the swimming lessons and different things that you'll do. But talk about the therapeutic side of that, would you please?
Yes, so we have a very awesome therapeutics recreational program down. It's hosted mainly out of Locust Grove Recreation Center.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is our what we like to call our exceptional demographic. And there's ADA ramps to get into the pool area. So anyone with any type of disability will be able to use that pool.
That's amazing. That just opens it up to so many more residents of Henry County. That's
It
great.
does.
That's
Yeah.
great. What else you got in that area?
So indoor we have a lot of meeting spaces. A lot of the teams need spaces to meet before, like when there's a actual meet,
Mm-hmm.
when meets, and they need spaces to hold their teams, to have conversations with their teams and things like that. So we have a lot of those meeting spaces. We have rentable spaces. One of our jewels that we're excited about is we have a rooftop terrace
Yeah.
that overlooks the lake. It overlooks the water park. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. Indoors, we also have 2 big screens inside where you can see all the meet results. You can see some of the video from the meets. And then as you go outside, that's the big water park fun area. And we have a big screen out there as well where we can have a movie night at the Aquatic Center.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're excited about that. We also have a zero entry kiddie area where
Mhm.
it has all the fun things. We have the big bucket that dumps water on the kids' heads. And we have the little jet shooters where they can shoot the guns of water at each other. So we're super excited about that. We also have another 25-meter pool outside where people will be able to swim or play, water volleyball, water basketball, things like that out there.
Wow.
And then we have the big 4 slides out there. One of the slides actually come off into a smaller pool area, and then the others are contained to their area. And we have a lazy river for all the ones that want to get on the little tubes and go around
Yeah.
the lazy river.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that.
Tell me about the wave rider.
Yes, so the Wave Rider is very unique. The Wave Rider is something that not a lot of places have, but you'll be able to get on there and feel like you can practice surfing and like you're on the ocean in California somewhere surfing. So we're
Okay.
excited about that.
All right. And then for those of us that don't go in the water, you've got like the shady areas and stuff planned.
Yes, so we have a ton of shade structures, a ton of cabanas where people can just relax. The moms that don't want to get in the water, they just want to be up under the shade and watch their kids run around. They can definitely do that. We have rentable spaces, but we also have a lot of spaces that are just open and you
Cool.
don't have to reserve those.
Cool. And JP, we've got a growing number of food trucks and that. So I believe when we talked to Sherry that you guys allowed for space out there in the parking area for that. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily in a parking area. It's actually right off of the water park. So on the backside of the water park, we have a drive-in area for a couple food trucks. So people can actually go to the food trucks and get food, or they can get food from the concession. So
Nice.
yeah.
If I'm a food truck vendor, what's the process?
Yes, so we will be posting an RFP for food
Okay.
truck vendors, and anyone that is interested can go on to our website and just watch out for that. If they want to, they can reach out to our purchasing department ahead of time and register as a vendor.
Okay.
And once that bid goes out, they will be notified. So they'll be on the list of, hey, this bid is out. You need to put in your bid so that you can be considered for that area.
Super. That's great. Anything I forgot to ask you about the beautiful Jewel?
Yes, we are looking for staff.
Okay.
We need lifeguards.
Okay.
Need staff to staff this and make sure that it's safe for everyone. And so we're definitely looking for staff.
So henrycountyga.gov and click on is it employment?
Opportunities. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, we can help get that word out. Definitely. Definitely. Hey, one last question, just because it's the SPLOST segment. How is this being paid for?
It's being paid for by SPLOST, and I know that is very, very important because this isn't just Henry County residents that's paying for this.
Hmm.
Anyone that comes into Henry County and spend $1, this is what's helping pay. That's what's helping pay for this.
That's great. That's great. And I think this is just going to increase that amount that the visitors are spending in Henry County now.
Definitely. But like I said, we're going to host a various tournaments here in Henry County just because of this beautiful facility that we have here.
Great, great. So this summer, we'll be out there partying.
Yes,
And
sir. We're
yeah.
going to have a grand opening,
Mhm.
The team is teased and said, JP, you have to be the first one to go down the slide. So I got to get ready to get down the slide.
All right. Well, we'll all be there for that.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes.
Yeah. Well, JP, I appreciate you. I appreciate your team and your time today, and really looking forward to opening that Aquatic Center and Water Park and seeing the great work that you guys have done. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
You too.
We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to this episode's Member Minute, and today we're sitting down with someone whose leadership shows us long before the spotlight ever does. Cornelius Gamble, entrepreneur, veteran, founder of Pressure Tested Global, and one of the Chamber's most dedicated ambassadors, was recently honored as Volunteer of the Year at our annual awards banquet. Congratulations, Cornelius.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's also recommended a powerful book for our listeners, Right Thing Right Now by Ryan Holiday.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And it's modern reflection on justice, courage, and moral clarity. Today, we'll explore how those ideas show up in Cornelius's life, his leadership, and his service to Henry County. So let's jump in. Congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very, very proud of you. Very happy. You were honored as Volunteer of the Year. What did that recognition mean to you personally? And at what moment from your volunteer work this year stands out the most?
So to me, that really just signifies that everything that I do, my life's purpose is to be in service in one way, shape, or form, from military to now doing this. And that's where I really found the most fulfillment for myself. And I believe that giving back to others and helping them see what's already inside of them I don't think there's anything that can replace that.
Yeah. And I have to say, you are so sincere in your word choice and in your practice. And I think that is just amazing to be able to see and to be able to acknowledge. You've been a consistent presence with the Chamber as an ambassador and community leader. What motivates you to keep showing up for Henry County in such a steady, high-impact way?
The truth is the need. I've identified that people are under an extreme amount of pressure, and this just goes unspoken.
Yeah.
But the numbers, the conversations just screams help. And back to the aspect of service, how dare I have a skill from my life's experience and I not give that back to someone else? Like, I'm not saying I'm the answer. I'm just saying I've traveled a journey that I can help other people who are along that path.
That's amazing. In Pressure Tested Global, built around the idea that pressure reveals structure, how has that philosophy shaped the way you serve the community and support local leaders?
Yeah, the biggest thing is, lately it's been coming to my mind, address the need, figure out where the need is, not the comfort. And then we address that. And I think as I've been a part of the Chamber, especially in that first year, seeing so many different businesses and how leaders communicate and just hearing what's not being said says a lot to me.
It's, that's an amazing point to make, to hear what's not being said. How does that show up for some of these leaders?
Yeah, it's like the smile, not cry later aspect. And I'm not talking like just costume, but we present forward facing, we got it, everything's working out. But when we have those conversations behind the screen, you realize how chaotic things are.
How people are breaking.
Yeah, and it's not even a matter of, honestly, the truth is not that we don't know or we don't have what it takes. It's that once we enter into a survival state, whether that's business, personal, whatever, we default to whatever we've trained for.
Yeah.
Or we haven't trained for.
Yeah.
But that default is going to determine how we behave under that pressure.
Which is, I appreciate that, because that's another reason that we put together that Thriving Henry Leaders program with Kaiser Permanente is to help people first build that bridge between where they're at and where they need to be, but then how does that impact their business?
Yeah.
And how does that impact their leadership skills? And you're a great example of solving that problem. What parallels do you see between entrepreneurship and volunteerism?
Honestly, I think it's all the same minus the money.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to oversimplify that. I really believe it's all the same minus the money. It has to be about solving a problem, addressing the need, and providing a solution to people who need it.
Absolutely.
That's
Thank
it.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you. Okay, now I want to get into the book, and I appreciate it. You gifted me with a book right here, Right Thing Right Now by Ryan Holiday. What about this book resonated with you the most as a leader and volunteer?
Yeah, especially on the aspect of my business for pressure tested it. When we think about being in a leadership position, I've been even guilty myself of being consumed by everything. And it's just a reminder that all we can do is what we can do right now where we are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a matter of simplifying things back down to the most basic form. And in that, everything else thrives from that. You know, we improve the things around us by improving ourselves first.
So let me ask you this. This is the book of his that focuses on justice. And it, as a daily practice in that. So how do you personally practice doing the right thing right now?
Yeah. I tried to really sit with myself for quite some time to dive in to figure out how can I create a system that I could replicate it at will. And that's where some of the pillars come from about, leadership capability or capacity, decision integrity, and then standards clarity. Operating within those bounds allows me every day to use those as filters for how I carry myself.
Mm-hmm.
What do I accept? When I do a thing, by following a set of standards, or as we talk about in this book, having a system that you can go to back to the default under pressure, it keeps you consistent. It keeps you moving forward, and it keeps us from running into walls the way we previously would have.
So as we tie this together with your military background, your leadership development work, and of course the book, and your volunteer leadership within the community, what's one principle that ties all those chapters of your life together?
That's an amazing question. Let me give you the correct answer. And by correct, I mean the most honest.
Okay.
The principle that stands out to me the most is we're becoming until we return. And what I mean by that is we go through life exploring ways to improve ourselves, what to be, how to be, just to get to a state where you realize everything you've always needed was already inside of you. And so,
wow. I think that's probably the most profound answer I've had on this podcast. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's amazing. Anything else you want to share with the listeners in that about volunteering, the ambassadors, how do they contact you? They want more on your business.
So I could be reached on YouTube. I started a podcast myself that's on YouTube, which is Pressure Tested Global _TV. I can also be found on LinkedIn, Cornelius Gamble. And the thing that I would like to leave with the audience is to realize pressure is inevitable. It's not going anywhere. I mean, we live under pressure. We call it gravity, but it's an inevitable. It's going to happen. And I think when we allow ourselves to set aside our pride, especially as leaders, it allows us the opportunity to not improve ourselves only, but also those that we lead. We set the tone, whether we accept that we do or not. And I've seen many times where even myself, pressure would spike and my decision clarity started to become constrained, and then that rippled, and now I'm paying a greater cost than I would have had I just paused and slowed down in the first place. So identify that pressure is real. Know that pressure is really just data to what we need to address, and that's it.
Wow. All right. Wow. This was one of my favorite interviews, my friend.
Thanks.
Cornelius, thank you for sharing your story and your service. And if anybody out there wants to keep learning and leading, pick up the book Cornelius recommended, Right Thing Right Now by Ryan Holiday, and let it challenge you. And we'll be right back.
Hey guys, I'm Morel McCreary with Ramtech PC Solutions. Have you ever wondered if your business is compliant? Have you ever wondered if your current IT guy is doing what he says he's going to do for your business? If you have questions like that, don't hesitate. Please call me at 678-999-2172, and we can check and make sure that you have the support, compliance, and cybersecurity that you need.
We've got a powerhouse lineup of events this April designed to help you grow, connect, and lead. Here's what's hitting the calendar. We have strategy sessions, including Bridge Henry Chamber Connect, April 10th at 10 a.m. Forget the stiff panels and long workshops. We're partnering with the Better Business Bureau to bring top-tier experts directly to you for real, one-on-one conversations. Come when you can, stay as long as you like, and leave with actual answers to your business hurdles. Also, on April 14th at 8 a.m. at the Chamber Resource Center, our Skills Showcase features Emotional Intelligence in Action with Dr. Nancy J. Lewis. Ready for the leadership advantage? Dr. Lewis will be in the house to equip you with strategies to lead with awareness and stay cool under pressure. And finally, Financial Foundations Workshop on April 30th at 8 a.m. in the Chamber Resource Center. Take your business to the next level with Judy McMurtry. This is all about building a financial plan you can actually execute. Seats are limited, so move fast on this one. Join us for some connection points this month. Networking for Introverts on April 16th at 1 p.m. will be at the Building 140, hosted by your emerging business leaders. This panel is all about making meaningful connections without the social burnout. We've heard your feedback, and we're bringing you strategies that actually work for the quieter pros among us. Member onboarding experience is scheduled for April 21st at 11 a.m. in the Hudgens Room. Whether you're brand new or just need a refresher, come learn how to squeeze every bit of value out of your chamber membership. Plus, it's a great chance to meet the team. And finally, on April 23rd at 5:30 p.m., our business after hours is at Strong Rock Christian School. It's the classic. Join us for great food and networking. Members, this is your shot at the chamber jackpot, and don't forget to bring a door prize to show off your own business. You can find full details and grab your spot for any of these by visiting the chamber calendar on our website. And that's a wrap on this episode of the Community Convener. But let's connect. If today's conversation sparked an idea or you're ready to take your business to the next level, we want to hear from you. Whether you're looking into membership benefits or want to explore sponsorship opportunities, reach out to the team. Call us at 770-957-5786 or visit us online at henrycounty.com. And we'll be back in 2 weeks with another community dialogue, fresh insights from Visit Henry, and the latest updates from around the county. To make sure you never miss an episode, hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. For daily updates and event reminders, give the Henry County Chamber of Commerce a follow on our social media. Until next time, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep growing with us right here at the Henry County Chamber. Thanks for listening.